If you've been feeling more sensitive, distant, or emotionally exhausted lately, it might not mean you're breaking down. It might mean you're finally healing. But healing rarely looks like what we expect. Sometimes it feels like falling apart before coming back together. In this video, we'll uncover 7 hidden emotional signs that actually prove you're healing, even if it doesn't feel like it. And if this message resonates with you, check the pinned comment for your inner healing guide, and make sure to subscribe for more weekly insights rooted in Carl Jung's psychology and real emotional growth. Healing is often misunderstood. We imagine it as this graceful unfolding, a peaceful process where pain disappears and clarity rises like morning sunlight. But true healing, the kind Carl Jung spoke of, isn't always beautiful. It's raw. It's confusing. It can make you question everything you thought you had overcome. What if I told you that those days when you feel more alone than ever, more irritable, more disconnected, are actually proof that something inside you is changing, rearranging? You see, when we heal, we aren't just letting go. We're grieving past versions of ourselves. We're mourning the lost childhoods, unmet needs, and silent wounds we carried for years without even knowing. Carl Jung believed that to become whole, we must integrate the shadow. And sometimes that means sitting with discomfort, not pushing it away. It means recognizing that certain feelings, though painful, are signs that we're finally listening to ourselves, finally processing what we never had the safety to feel before. This is not a step backward, this is forward, disguised as chaos. In this video, we'll explore 7 emotional states that might feel like you're falling apart, but are actually signs you're waking up, healing, and stepping into the most authentic version of yourself. Let's begin with the first one. Why certain uncomfortable feelings are actually signs of emotional healing, according to Carl Jung. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's exactly where true healing begins, when you stop running from your pain and start listening to it. For a long time, we were led to believe that healing means constant happiness, lightness, and peace. But that view is incomplete and often misleading. It makes us believe that if we're still feeling sad, angry, or lost, something must be wrong with us, when in fact, these emotions are often a crucial part of deep inner transformation. According to Jung, each of us carries rejected, repressed, or forgotten parts within, emotional fragments that form what he called the shadow. The shadow holds everything we were taught to hide: pain, anger, grief, fear, shame. Most of it originates in childhood, and that's where our wounded inner child lives. When you begin a true healing process, these buried parts start resurfacing. But they don't return quietly. They show up crying, screaming, or acting out. And emotionally, it can feel intense. You might feel irritated for no reason, exhausted despite sleeping well, or haunted by memories you hadn't thought of in years. That is the beginning of reconnecting with your emotional truth. This process is known as integration, a foundational concept in Jungian psychology. To integrate means to acknowledge, welcome, and make space for everything you tried to ignore for years. And like any deep emotional reconciliation, it doesn't happen in a straight line. Many of Jung's patients described having strange dreams, feeling lost, or experiencing heightened sensitivity during their analysis. Jung saw all of this as signs that the unconscious was finally being heard. It's as if when you open the door to yourself, what's inside whispers, "Now that you see me, I can finally come out." And when it does come out, it might look like crying for no clear reason. It might mean walking away from people you once depended on. It might mean feeling deep anger at things you once tolerated silently. Society has trained us to silence these feelings, but Jung taught the opposite. Listen to them, understand them, accept them, and in doing so, transform. Another crucial idea is that emotional pain during healing is not a sign of failure, but a sign of depth. Healing doesn't erase the past. It reshapes your relationship with it, and that requires confrontation, reevaluation, and above all, self-compassion. If you're going through a phase where everything feels more intense, if old wounds are resurfacing, if you feel the urge to withdraw, or if your world seems heavier, know this: you might be in the middle of one of the most important inner reorganizations of your life. And this reorganization, often silent and invisible to others, is sacred. You may be, at this very moment, healing generational pain, breaking inherited patterns, releasing stories that never belonged to you, all without fully realizing it. The confusion, the emotional fatigue, the hypersensitivity, these are like symptoms of a soul in purification. That's why Jung invites us to do something radical. Instead of trying to fix these emotions, he encourages us to enter into dialogue with them, to approach them with curiosity and presence. Because sometimes what pain really wants is not to be erased, but finally to be heard. That's the moment when healing becomes liberation. When you can tell yourself, I can feel this. I don't need to escape. I am capable of holding my pain with love. That's true strength. And that's how the shadow no longer controls your life from the darkness, but instead walks beside you in peace. Now that we've explored why uncomfortable feelings are often powerful signs of healing, let's move on to the next part. The 7 unexpected feelings that show you're healing, even if it doesn't feel like it. Are you ready? 7 feelings that reveal you're healing, even if it doesn't feel like it. 1. You feel more emotional than usual. You cry more easily. You feel sadness without a clear reason. You're moved by music, movies, small acts of kindness, or even by nothing at all. This is not emotional weakness. It's your emotional system reopening. After years of numbness or suppression, you're finally allowing yourself to feel again. According to Jung, emotions are the voice of the unconscious. When you reconnect with your inner child, especially through healing, it often opens the floodgates of everything that was repressed. You're not losing control. You're regaining emotional access. 2. You begin to question your old identity. Who am I without people-pleasing, without perfectionism, without hiding my real feelings? This kind of internal questioning can feel confusing, even terrifying, because you're stepping out of your false self, the persona Jung described as a mask we wear to fit into society. As you heal, the persona begins to crack, revealing the authentic self beneath. You may no longer relate to people, places, or behaviors that once defined you. That's not regression. It's rebirth. 3. You feel exhausted. Deep healing is energetic labor. Your nervous system is adjusting, your mind is unlearning, your heart is detoxifying old grief. It's natural to feel tired, mentally foggy, or even uninterested in things that once excited you. Jung believed the psyche protects itself by slowing down when it's processing major inner shifts. So if you're feeling drained, give yourself permission to rest. Healing doesn't need to be productive. It needs to be real. 4. You feel like you're going backwards. You're triggered by things that didn't affect you before. Old wounds resurface. You're reacting in ways you thought you'd outgrown. But here's the truth. Healing is not linear. It spirals. Each time you revisit an old wound, you're meeting it at a deeper level of consciousness. You're not backtracking. You're integrating. Like Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. If you're revisiting the past, it's because your system is ready to process more of it. 5. You feel alone or detached from others. As you begin to heal, especially from childhood wounds, your energy shifts. And sometimes, that means outgrowing relationships built on trauma bonding, codependency, or silence. You might start craving solitude, not out of sadness, but self-protection. Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you truly are, apart from the roles, patterns, or expectations others projected onto you. This phase can feel isolating, but it's also sacred. It's a time of becoming. 6. You start setting boundaries, and it feels uncomfortable. Suddenly you say no and feel guilt. You protect your peace and fear being rejected. You ask for space and doubt yourself. But this is one of the clearest signs that you're healing. You are no longer betraying yourself to please others. Carl Jung spoke often about self-abandonment as a form of shadow behavior, sacrificing your truth to avoid confrontation. As you heal, you begin to realize that setting boundaries is not selfish, it's self-honoring. And while it may feel uncomfortable at first, that discomfort is proof of growth. 7. You feel a stronger connection to your inner world. You begin to dream more vividly. You pay attention to subtle sensations. You start journaling, meditating, or reflecting in new ways. This growing connection to your inner world is a sign that you're healing the split between your conscious and unconscious mind. Jung viewed dreams and intuition as bridges to the inner self. When you notice these becoming louder, more frequent, or more meaningful, it means your unconscious feels safe enough to speak. That is a profound victory. All of these feelings, the sadness, the fatigue, the confusion, the loneliness, may seem like signs of brokenness. But they're not. They are evidence that something inside you is shifting, unraveling, shedding layers that were never truly yours. You are not falling apart. You are falling into yourself. And the deeper you go, the more you reclaim the parts of you that were once lost to fear, trauma, or neglect. So if you find yourself crying, questioning, withdrawing, or craving solitude, if you're setting new boundaries or revisiting old wounds, trust that process. It means you are in it, not avoiding it. This is the hidden beauty of healing. It doesn't always feel like a sunrise, sometimes it feels like a storm. But the storm is not destroying you. It's clearing the way for a truer, freer version of you to rise. And you deserve to meet that version. How to work with these feelings and complete the healing cycle. So now that you know these 7 feelings are signs of deep healing, what do you do with them? What if it still hurts? What if you feel stuck or lost or overwhelmed? Carl Jung taught that healing is not about getting rid of pain, but about transforming our relationship with it. This is the essence of integration, the final stage of deep emotional alchemy. Here's how to move from confusion to clarity, and from fragmentation to inner wholeness. So instead of asking, how do I stop feeling this, and try asking, what is this feeling trying to reveal to me? Don't rush your inner child to get better. Sit with her. Witness her. Let her feel safe in your presence. That's where the healing begins, not in logic, but in emotional safety. How do you do this? Through gentle inner dialogue, through rituals like writing a letter to your younger self. Use your triggers as guides, not enemies. When you get triggered, it's not a sign that you've failed. It's a map, a spotlight on something that still hurts. Jung taught that we must look at our shadows, not to judge them, but to embrace them. Your reactions, fears, and emotional intensity are all pointing to the same place, an unhealed wound that is ready to be seen. Next time something hits you hard, pause and ask, what part of me is feeling unloved right now? That's the door. That's the invitation. And when you walk through it, you heal not just the surface, but the root. Create daily or weekly rituals that allow your emotions to breathe. 10 minutes of journaling each night. Trust that you are not behind. Healing can sometimes make you feel like you're wasting time, like you should be more productive, more social, more successful. But healing is sacred work, and sometimes it means pausing your outer world to repair the inner one. Jung often spoke of the inner journey as a descent into the depths, into the underworld of the psyche. It can feel dark, lonely, and uncertain. But when you emerge, you return with wisdom, clarity, and a truer self. So don't rush your path. Don't compare your pace. Trust your unfolding. It's proof that you're becoming someone with depth. Someone with the capacity to heal, help, and hold others too. Sometimes it looks like crying in your car. Sometimes it looks like saying no and shaking with guilt. Sometimes it looks like sleeping for 10 hours and still feeling tired. But beneath the discomfort, beneath the confusion, beneath the emotional waves, a new version of you is emerging, a version rooted in self-trust, a version who can love without abandoning themselves, a version who can rise, not because the pain is gone, but because they're no longer afraid of it. So take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and say gently to yourself, I'm proud of how far I've come. Even if no one else sees it, I do. You are healing, even when it doesn't feel like it.